You know what would make that better? A cup of white cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the cafe as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. Brian Hagberg with you here on Your Daily Local, joined by our special guest this week, Mr. Dale Bliss of the Warren County Fair. 4th of July is over, and the Warren County Fair is right around the corner. Dale, how excited are you guys for the fair this year?
Pretty excited. You know, we had a great one last year, probably the most prolific we've ever had. We had the weather, and I think people were just in the mood to come out and have a good time with their friends and neighbors.
And so this is the 92nd annual Warren County Fair. And, to be part of a tradition like this, I mean, you're rapidly approaching a century here of Warren County Fairs. What is it like for you to just be a part of this great event?
It's an honor. For some of us that have been around a while down there, it becomes a family kind of thing, putting it together. That's the behind the scenes part of the fair.
Right.
That kind of keeps you going. But, the payoff for all the volunteers is that we can have a week together where none of our problems seem to matter so much, and we can all get along. And that's kind of my favorite part about what we do.
Just that actual week of seeing all the planning and preparation, everything kind of come into fruition.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of work. As you know, you interview people from the parade. That was recent.
Yeah.
If you talk to Bill Thompson, he'll tell you that it's a 365-day-a-year deal, and it's no different at the fair.
And so, explain a little bit about that process. I mean, so looking ahead to next year, right? So this fair is going to end. How soon after everything's kind of shut down and cleaned up are you guys planning for the next year's fair?
We're working on the 2024 fair now.
Okay.
Once we get our planning and preparation done for the current year's fair, as soon as that process stops, we work into the next one. So I would say we've been working on 2024 probably for the last 3 or 4 months.
Oh wow! So really, I mean, no rest for the weary.
No,
really
there isn't. And we sign up for it,
Mm-hmm.
so we're happy to do it.
And so for you personally, what was it about the fair that made you want to be part of the behind the scenes group?
Well, let me tell you, I mean, for a lot of us here in Warren County, it's been a tradition of my family. Been going since I was a little kid, and had fair friends and got to know people. And then, with my broadcasting career, I started down there broadcasting live every day. This will be my 27th year there. And with that, you get to know people and you see how hard they work. And then when they come to you and ask for a certain skill set that if you could help them with, I couldn't help but to say yes. And that's turned into different things, Brian. It started out being the guy that talks all the time to now the guy that jumps on the tractor and runs a shovel and whatever else they ask of me.
You said yes one time, and you didn't realize what all that yes would encompass.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, talk about you mentioned 27 years that you've been broadcasting the fair.
Yep.
In that time, I guess is there any specific memorable moments that kind of stick out to you from people you've interviewed or things that have happened?
Yes, there are many. I mean, it would be fun sometime to just start a notebook and write some of them down, but a lot of them are very humorous things. You tend to remember all the cool things that happen because there's not a lot of negatives that happen during Fair Week. It's a lot of fun. But one comes to mind that I think of all the time this time of year. My old broadcasting partner, Dave Whipple, that I spent years with and miss him every day. But that was kind of our thing. We'd go down to the fair for a week and we'd do a little broadcasting and have a lot of fun. I mean, that's kind of how it worked.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember we were interviewing 4-H one time, and they had the goat program over. So we had our wireless mics outside our booth, and Dave was interviewing a little kid with a goat, and that goat kept biting at his pocket. And I'll tell you what, for a big a man as Dave was, he was pretty scared of animals. So it was pretty funny.
I knew Dave for a long time. As many people. County.
Made him ride an elephant one time too.
Oh yes, yes, yes. That's yeah, yeah. And knowing Dave as I did, just makes that even more. Picturing kind of little goat nibs and
Oh yeah,
riding elephants.
you should have saw his. If I could have taken a picture of it and thought of it, I should have.
I mean, does there come a point where you want to go back and just try to find some of those old recordings and see if you could put something like that together?
Yeah, I think about that once in a while. Some of that archival footage is probably hilarious.
Oh yeah.
But we look to make new memories each and every year. And my new partner JJ reminds me a lot of Dave.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can see that. Yeah,
you know JJ
Oh, yes.
pretty well, and it's just like if there was ever a person that I could have beside me that reminds me of Dave, it's him. And JJ's got his what he adds to.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's so fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. JJ Michaels for those of you who may not know. Also, now the new voice of the fair alongside you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely a very big personality.
Yeah, he is.
And it seems
a blast.
Yes, and very appropriate to have as a broadcast partner for the fair. I'm
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
And so I guess and kind of going along with that, I mean, obviously, I know there's been times, I've been out there seeing you, interviewing Representative Kathy Rapp and things
Sure.
like that. But who's been maybe the most fun interview, or maybe the kind of the highest stature person that's come down to the fair?
Well, we've over the years have interviewed governors. I can remember interviewing Lynn Swan there a couple of times. He was up, and just some of the most fun interviews, honest to goodness, are the kids.
Oh yeah.
They have a different perspective than we do as adults. You know what I mean? They come down there for the fun, and they're innocent. They see all the cool things.
Right.
So it's kind of fun interviewing them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I can understand. I mean, having spent a lot of my career covering, high school and youth sports, it's definitely that holds true across the spectrum. It's just like you said, that innocence and that they're not necessarily trying to put on a face.
Right. Yeah, it's genuine experience for them. So, and a lot of times they're painfully honest.
Yeah.
And that makes for good interviews.
Yes, it does. And sometimes painful ones when they're telling you the truth, right?
Well, what's the most painful, and so you ask a kid a question. So how's your 4-H sheep project coming along? And they'll go,
"Oh yeah,
not say, no, that's good stuff. I can't wait. That's
Yeah.
coming up again this year."
Oh yes. And so what are some of the things? I mean, obviously outside of doing the daily broadcasts, what are some of the things that you look forward to most that are at the fair every year?
I look forward mostly to the people, Brian.
Yeah.
I mean, from the time we get there until the time we leave, all of us are constantly running into somebody.
Yeah.
Whether you saw them last week or you saw them a year ago, it's just kind of fun to catch up. And like I keep trying to push home, a lot of the conversations are positive.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to find somebody that has anything negative to say that week.
Right.
I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah. Do you find that you run into, a lot of people? I know obviously, a lot of people like to camp during Fair Week and things like that. Do you run into a lot of the people that, my family's camped here for 92 years, 91 years or whatever, and they just keep coming back?
Absolutely. I mean, there's people up in the campground as long as I've been there. I've been there twice as long as I have, and it's a little city.
Yeah.
And everybody.
Right.
I'd like to think, Warren County Fair is still a place that you can come with your family and your kids, and there's always someone looking out for them.
Yeah.
It's still kind of that genuine, nice place to go.
Yeah. And do you find that it's, the same families in the same spot with the same, kind of gear? And has it evolved over the years from maybe like more tent camping to now more kind of
absolutely.
trailers and glamping, as they like to call it?
I'll tell you a story. When I first started at the fairgrounds as a kid, my grandparents camped up on what they call Director Hill now, and that was it. That's all they had.
Right.
There might have been a dozen sites there. Well, now we're sporting about 600 campsites up through there, and they're full. And like you say, there's a lot of those same people, but we do see it evolve. Now we're seeing different generations come in with their kids, which is awesome to see.
Right. And how much does, being able to expand the campground and the camping experience help add to what the fair brings it?
Well, it adds a lot because, it's really guaranteed income for the fair.
Right.
So all that money that we're able to bring into our revenue streams, the several of them that we have, all goes back into trying to make that experience better for everybody.
And again, going into the planning process, I mean, obviously, you're going to have things like you mentioned, 4-H, and often you have the art shows and baking contests, things like that. But when it comes to planning, the marquee events for each night, the live music or the tractor pulls or whatever, how do you kind of decide who's going to be where and when and what goes into that process?
Well, what's interesting is Warren County Fair has a very active fair board, and we have committees set up. We have an entertainment committee that goes after the headline entertainment acts that are at Key Bank Pavilion. We have a motorsports committee that kind of goes after what they do, and we work in concert to try to bring in the best that we possibly can, while keeping the fair experience something that's affordable for everyone. Right. It's a dance that you have to do.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm sure, and again, you just look around at the costs. I mean, I was looking at a local, one of the local amusement parks not that long ago, $52 a day per person. It's like, my first trip to Disney longer ago than I'd like to admit. I mean, it was, I want to say it was around that to get into Disney, and now it's just like, man, this is a local place at $50 a day, and it's to be able to have an event that one has the longevity that the fair does, but also, like you said, to keep it affordable for families. Again, how important is it to maintain that balance?
It's very important to us. We still want to be a place that everyone can come, no matter where you are in your life. You can afford it. We like to think, especially now, we have our pre-sale tickets available. Like if you go to our Facebook page, you can see a whole list of the vendors that you can go to. Yeah. And you can also get them at our fair office. But if you buy single tickets now, they're $8. Yeah. And if you buy a family 5-pack, we have them. You can get into the fair with the rides and everything for $6.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can't beat that.
You can't beat it, and you're there all day. Literally, a lot of people that come first thing in the morning come, and they're there till 11 o'clock. So that's a pretty good value.
Do you find that there are certain days throughout the week that people try to focus on making sure they get there as opposed to others?
Any sunny day, we'll start with that. And then, yes, I mean, concert nights, people make an effort to get there early and eat before the shows. And then as we build toward the weekend, we have a lot of motorsports activity and things like that. We design it that way. We realize that a lot of folks would rather take their time toward the weekend off if they're going to take a day off of work. And that's kind of how we design things.
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick break here from our sponsor. We'll be right back with more Coffee and a Conversation presented by White Cane Coffee.
The only thing worse than being stuck at home is being stuck at home without coffee. We can't let that happen. Browse our selection and order online. From sweet to tangy, hot or iced, we have something for you. White King Coffee, because every cup makes a difference. Cheers.
And welcome back to the cafe as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. Brian Hagberg with you here on Your Daily Local, along with special guest Dale Bliss from the Warren County Fair. And Dale, you got yourself a cup of Dragon's Roast, as I do right here.
I was just going to say, what a tremendous cup of dough this is.
And do want to remind folks that the White King Coffee Cafe is open through all the downtown construction, the plaza across from Tops. Stop in, get yourself a fresh cup, maybe a cinnamon roll or a scone. And if you don't want to deal with that construction, White Cane's also available on DoorDash. Just place your order, have your favorites delivered right to your door. You can also get your favorite roast or brew at home online at whitegamecoffee.com. I know, I got my wife hooked on this Dragon's Roast, man. I brought one bag home, and she was like, ooh.
It's good. What's cool, too, is you can get the K-Cups if you want to,
right?
Which is nice.
Yes, very nice. So definitely stop on down to White Cane Coffee here at the cafe or visit them online at whitegamecoffee.com. I almost forgot that. It's been a little bit of a long week.
Been a busy week.
It's been a busy week, yes. But it's going to be an even busier week here a couple weeks from now as the Warren County Fair coming up. And then, we've neglected through the first segment. What are the dates of fair this year?
The dates are unofficially the 7th through the 12th. The actual start date of the fair is the 8th, but everybody knows the 7th will be free day. Yeah. And that's our Queen Contest Day, which is no charge. And then we do have a separate charge for our Monday night shootout, Bulls and Barrels Rodeo. It's only $10 day of. You can get your tickets in advance for $8, but what a show that's turned into being. It's awesome.
And have you found that that free day, that Monday, is starting to garner some more attention now that you have some of those events going on?
Holy smokes! And you can remember this, Brian, from years ago. It used to be Monday was kind of like dot the I's day, and cross the T's, and get ready for Tuesday. Well, now pretty much Monday is full on.
Yeah.
And I think what people like is you can come in and kind of saunter around. You can eat.
Yeah.
The rides aren't open yet. They start on Tuesday, but you get a lot of that fair experience on Monday. And what we see happen is people come in and look around, and then they're tempted to come back again and again and again.
Yeah. You kind of get a chance to plot your path, so to speak, right? You say, oh, okay, so I know this vendor's here, and these animals are over here, and I can see where they're setting up the rides, and so that's going to be here, and I want to go this way. And
Brian, what's cool this year is people are going to freak out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because for years and years and years, the fair layout has been very similar.
Right.
Which is a good thing, but it's also something that we thought maybe we could improve. So this year we've added a few new vendor areas and attraction areas. I hate to give it away because it's going to be shocking to people, but we've removed some significant dirt. We've added some. We've grown grass. We've continued to add to our infrastructure to make things nicer and better. So that part of the fair, I think people will get a smile on their face. They're going to notice it right as they come into Barton Run Road. Brand new signs this year.
I saw that I was driving by the other day and saw that you guys had some new signs up.
So we put a lot of work and effort into trying to just give it a fresh look. We're excited to see what the public has to say about it. And we're excited about the fair schedule. If you've heard any of talk about the 2023 fair, it's really more of. That's kind of our theme this year is more. And we've got more grounds attractions. We still have the great concert lineup. You got to remember this. When you come to concerts at the fair, there's no extra charge for them.
Right, yeah.
Which is kind of unique.
Yeah.
You're getting to see headline entertainment for literally nothing.
Yeah.
So it's nice. Tracy Bird, the entertainment committee's been working on getting Tracy back for several years now. And this year they finally worked out the date and the time that Tracy could come in. And it just so happens that it coincides with his 25th anniversary of being there. So when we first had him, he had his first hit. And now he's got all those hits that people can come and sing along to.
And 25 years later, I mean, to be able to, it's almost like it's meant to be able to line stuff up like that sometimes.
Yeah, it worked out really well, and everybody's excited about it. And on Wednesday at the Pavilion, Jake Worthington, he was here and opened for Travis Denning last year, and put on an awesome show. I mean, to start. So we got to talking with him afterwards. The committee did, and said, "Hey, how'd you like to bring your band back and come and do that?" So that's how that worked.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a Leonard Skinner tribute on Saturday. Rock is kind of turning into Saturday, and people are loving it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to give people a little bit of everything when they come down for concerts.
And how much of that is, like you said, somebody puts on a great show and you kind of go, oh, hey, I mean, how much of that feedback are you getting, both from the performers, but also from the attendees and the people who go see the shows?
All the time. It's based on that, based on a lot of things, but we do take that input in when we try to go out and get things that people will like. And we not only do that for the concerts at KeyBank, but down at the Motorsports Arena, we added a KOI drag racing show on Tuesday. People are going to freak out over it because you'll see motorcycles and side-by-sides and UTVs, but semis too.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of a new thing for Tuesday. And we've added divisions to our big Friday night tractor pulls. Okay. So people are just going to be blown away by what they're going to see.
Yeah. And how much, again, with this planning and things like that, do you have a focus on not just doing the same thing over and over again?
Absolutely. Yeah. The interesting thing is that there's a lot to love about the history of our fair. So we don't ever want to forget that.
Right.
Our mission actually is to support youth in agriculture. But all of these things that we bring in to showcase the Warren County Fair help to foster that. People that may have never seen a string of cows might for the first time.
Right.
So it all works together. But, to answer your question, yes, while remembering our history and paying honor to that, we're also looking to grow and change and try to keep with the times a little bit.
try to keep it fresh, and
Absolutely.
so it's not just the same experience. There's something new every year.
Absolutely.
And I know. So tell me a little bit how some of these things work. I know last year there was some concern earlier in the year with the rides and the amusement.
Glad you brought that up.
So some of those things, I mean, that's life, right? Like some of those things just happen, but I think that kind of really gave people a glimpse into just how far out you've got to plan these things and how hard it is to get some of these folks to come.
It's difficult. I mean, we all went through the struggles of COVID
Yeah.
and all that. And what used to be 600 companies nationwide that did carnivals
Yeah.
is now 200.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it made it more difficult. But the silver lining to this is this group, Penn Valley Shows, that we were able to contract with, came in last year and helped us out.
Yeah.
It really wasn't even an open date for them. We wound up again having the most prolific fair that we've ever had. And this year they're bringing back the entire show, the whole thing.
Right.
So kids, I talk about freaking out. They will freak out.
Right.
They'll
Because they were kind of split last year, right?
They
Because they had
were.
another commitment, but
now they're full on Warren County Fair,
oh boy.
and they're bringing everything. So we're very
Yeah.
excited to see that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I walked in on Monday for the media lunch, and saw something that immediately took me back to my younger days coming to the fair. And I looked over and I happened to see they had the Gravitron set up. And
Oh, yeah.
and I had to, I mean, that was something I hadn't seen one of those in probably 25 years. And it was, those are the kind of things though that now for people like me who went as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and now I have my own kids who did not go on it. they got up there and
Make sure they eat after that.
yeah. They took one look and they were kind of like, I don't know. Now they were, oh gosh, what were they? 9, 7, and 5 at the time, so maybe a little bit too young, but yeah, those are the kind of things that now we get a chance to share those experiences with our kids. And like you said, it becomes generation.
It does. And that's something that we want to foster. We'd like the Warren County Fair to be around for another 92 years.
Right.
And thankfully, our community is very generous and our loyalty is very high.
Yeah.
People support the fair, and we're so thankful that they do. And, when it comes to volunteers, it sometimes makes me stop and think about how generous people are of their time.
Yeah.
It literally takes hundreds of volunteers, that don't accept a dime a pay,
Right.
to come in and help us put that together.
And kind of speaking of that, how important is it for you as the fair board to have those opportunities? I saw something just the other day that some of the Eisenhower folks are getting the potato wagon ready to go, and to provide opportunities for local, organizations and schools and things like that to have their wares set up and have fundraisers.
Brian, it's extremely important to us. A lot of these nonprofit groups that participate in our fair are oftentimes some of those things that you don't think of unless you need, like a fire department,
right.
would be an example.
Yeah.
And I've always said, whenever you can come and purchase food or whatever from a nonprofit that helps in your community, everybody wins.
Right. Yeah.
So we support that a lot.
Yeah, and and like I said, I know just again offhand because I just seen it. The potato, wow, I can't talk right now. The potato wagon's been around for a number of years. And do you have, new groups kind of coming to you every year, and does that lead to some of these expansion things you talked about?
It does, and we talked about how thankful the fair is about the fair volunteers,
Right.
but all these nonprofit groups that come in have those same things, and some of them are really great and active, and some of them you can see that there will be changes coming because it's hard to get people to work, and nobody's getting younger.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. But we do have groups that approach us every year about coming down, and we try to include as many of them as we can.
Yeah.
What we try not to do is have so many that nobody does well.
Right.
We try to have that right amount so
Yeah.
that people do well.
Well, and I know one that's one event or group that's been kind of absent the last couple of years is coming back, and with Crime Stoppers and, and the ever popular steer dump.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I know that that has been in the works for a long time, and I understand a lot of people are excited to see.
They
that
are.
come back.
That's another fair tradition that's been around forever, and they took a few years off. Again, COVID screwed things up.
Yeah, it did.
But now we're coming out of that, and I know when they called earlier in the year and said, "Could we come back? We saved your space for you."
Yeah.
So they're back.
Yeah. And that's, that's always one of the things when, for me, like living in Colorado for a number of years, and people ask, well, what do you do? And you explain the fair. What happens at the fair? And then you try to explain to them what a steer dump is. And they just like, you see it just kind of process, and it's like you have to see it.
You have to come and see it
to believe it.
You could say the same about stock car football.
Yeah.
So we do that down at the track, and I don't know why people come and see it, but they do.
But they do. Yeah.
They do, and they love it.
Yes. And that was one of the things, sitting in on some of those Crime Stoppers meetings, some of the folks that have been involved in the organization for a long time, is that, people have come up to us for the last year and a half. Hey, when's the steer dump come? When can I get my tickets? And, those are the kind of things that maybe sometimes that, we as lifelong community members maybe take for granted.
Yep.
And don't understand just how much people look forward to some of that stuff until it's gone.
Brian, for a lot of folks that you mentioned Disneyland, okay, that is not a cheap date. There's a lot of people that have to go get a loan to take their family down there to do that. Well, for some folks, the Warren County Fair is their Disneyland for a week.
Yeah.
Where they can actually come and afford to be able to have their kids ride rides and see animals and do all those things. And they can actually, afford to do that multiple days.
Right.
That's something that I hope that we can keep going. I really do.
Yeah. Well, and again, like for me, we're a family of 5, and I can at the gate come in with a family of 5, and like I mentioned earlier, get in for less than the cost of one ticket to one of our other, regional amusement parks. And that's, like you said, that's so important, especially in a time where, like you said, we're coming out of COVID and inflation and all those kind of things, and to still have an event like this that's so wildly popular, but yet still so affordable, really seems like that's part of the draw.
I hope we're welcoming too. I mean, that's something that we work at. We try to make sure that all of our walkways are paved. You don't have to deal with any mud, things like that. When you think of, I think when people think of a county fair, they might think that way until they come and see ours. We really try to cater to those that have physical disabilities so they can get around. We have carts that go around all the time. Like if you can't walk from one end to the other, no problem.
Right.
We'll get you there one way or another.
Yeah. And especially, in a county like ours where the median age is kind of going up, how important is it for you to maintain those kind of walkways and offer those services to help people?
We feel it's very important. We don't want to discriminate against anybody.
Right.
Anybody that wants to come from 9 months to 92 years, you come on down and there's going to be something there for you. And if you need help, you're going to get help.
And you mentioned it's not, like you said, you've got paved and things. I mean, obviously there's grass and stuff. That's part of, like you said, the agriculture. And, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but we were walking through some of the carnival areas, and then all of a sudden we looked over the hill and kind of here came the rain and everybody kind of ducked, but it seemed like it was one of those situations or torrential downpour, but it didn't drive people away.
No, the nice thing about our fair, Brian, and you know this from attending for many years, if you do get an errant shower once in a while, you can get under a roof, and in 15 minutes, likely it'll be over, and you can go on with your day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, credit to the carnival workers, had those rides dried off very quickly.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, there were things going on at the pavilion, or some of the vendors are in the buildings, or have canopy tops and things like that. And again, is that something that's kind of changed over time that you've noticed with the way the vendors have kind of adapted and
they're built for it. They realize that there's a chance that could happen.
Right.
We've been blessed,
Yes.
over the last several years to not have to deal with much of that. But everybody's built for it. They expect to have a little bit of it. I kind of don't look at that as a negative as much as I used to, because it gives me a chance to have a sausage sub.
Yeah.
So there's no downside to that as far as I see it.
No, I mean, and not that you really need much, right? Have an excuse to have one of those every day, probably.
If it's raining, I'll have a sausage sub, and I might follow up with an ice cream cone.
Oh,
You
there
never know.
go. Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that. Being blessed with the weather, because that was something when I spoke with Bill Thompson at the 4th of July celebration. And he said too, obviously we got some this year over the weekend, but 75 years of a parade, and I can't remember a single one where it was rained out. I'm sure it's happened at some point, but it's just one of those things that it's almost always a nice day, and for the fair, you guys almost always have a great week of weather.
We do. It goes in cycles. I can remember years and years ago, the saying kind of was, well, it always rains at the fair.
Yeah.
Well, I would say over the last several years, it hardly ever rains at the fair.
Right.
And when it does, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
The nice thing is that there's not a whole heck of a lot going on. So
Right.
you might as well be down in Pittsfield.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like you said, especially with the way things have changed and adapted over time, you can stop in, get a sausage sub, or go, maybe that's where you go check out some of the artwork or the baking, or there's just so many options.
And I can't stress that enough, Brian. I'm glad you brought that up, because people don't realize, speaking about taking things for granted,
Yeah.
the talent in our community is tremendous. Whether it be people that bake or knit or paint or take photographs, you'd be blown away to see all this stuff. And a lot of people that come to the fair may not have that aspect in their mind when they come there.
Right.
So I would take some time to go through there, check it out.
Well, and I know, for me growing up, we would often go with my grandparents, and that was one of the things that they stressed was, we're going to go on Monday. Not just because it's free day, but because the carnival attractions aren't set up, and now we can focus more on really taking in, the work and effort that goes in with the animals and the artwork and everything else that's going on. And again, it's a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid. You probably don't appreciate that as much as it should. But now looking back on it, it's, man, doing that and gaining an understanding and an appreciation of what we have here now, really, as an adult, it's serving me in understanding what this community is all about.
Absolutely. And parents out there, if you do have kids of whatever age, if you have a chance to go through those barns and you see the 4-H kids and leaders work together, it's so cool, because if you have questions, they love answering them, and you can get up and close to some of these things that you maybe can't anywhere else.
Yeah.
From the smallest little rabbit in the barn all the way to a 3,500 pound draft horse.
Oh, yeah.
You can get up close and personal and learn about them, and it doesn't cost you anything but your time.
Yeah, I mean, we always have the talk before we go. No, you cannot bring any of the big farm animals home with you.
Correct.
My middle daughter McKenna, especially, is she's going to be the kid that walks in one day with it like a skunk or a porcupine, asking if we can keep it.
Well, maybe you'd be better off with the rabbit then.
Yeah. But again, it's now as a parent, seeing that just sense of wonder as they watch, some of the, and I know some of the folks, do the sheep shearing and things like that. And those are just not things that you see on a regular basis. And now you're in an area where they're bringing all of that together, and you really get a chance to grasp what that industry is all about.
And speaking of the industry, agriculture is still Pennsylvania's number one industry, and Warren County is a big part of that. So come and learn about that too. It helps drive our communities. There's still a lot of family farms around here. It's not as much as when we were younger, but there's still a lot of them who depend on farming for a living.
Yeah. And again, there's obviously we have the fair week, but it's not like that's the only time. I'm sure that you guys are busy, right? I mean, I know there's, I believe this coming or today is the Dean Johnson Memorial Wrestling Tournament at the Pavilion, and there's things like that. There's cruise in and things like that go on throughout the year. And how involved are you guys with those kind of events and just making sure that they have everything they need to run smoothly?
What I will tell you this is about end of April, first part of May, there's a contingent of fair board directors that move in, and then they don't go home until October.
Yeah.
So the Fair Board is very active in all of the stuff that we do all year. We have cowboy mounted shooting twice a year. We have equine activities in our show rings 3 times a week. We have the car show craft fair. We have, Dean Johnson today. That's a big wrestling tournament.
Oh,
So
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And if you love wrestling and you love the fair, it's a pretty good mix.
Yeah.
Come on
Yes,
down
it
there
is,
and check it out. They'd love to have you.
Yep.
And all those things, pretty much once the sun starts and shining in the spring until fall, there's always something happening there.
And again, how important is it for you guys as a board to make those facilities available for some of these other events?
Very. It's anytime that you can bring something into the community that is cool or people are interested in, we're for. But we're really for the youth. The equine programs in the county. There's a lot of clinics and learning and getting your projects done that they can come down to utilize the fairgrounds to do that.
And I know, and I'm not sure if this is happening again this year, but I know last year at the Dean Johnson tournament they had some local dairy farmers. Probably Dean was a big proponent of chocolate milk,
boy.
And every time you talk to him, he'd tell you how great chocolate milk is for your body. And so I know they had some local dairy farmers come in and provide that milk and refreshment for folks who were
we miss Dean. He was a big part of the fair for decades down there.
Yeah.
And of course, he was involved with our dairy programs and things like that. And it's nice that they could come together and honor him with the tournament.
Yeah.
He would just love it.
Yeah. So, kind of taking everything all in and looking at the fair, for somebody who's been basically a lifelong fair goer, what is the one thing that you look forward to most every year about coming to the fair?
I think the thing I'll circle back to how we started the conversation. I like to see people in a good mood. We have a lot going on in our world,
Right.
Especially lately,
Yeah.
in our little neck of the
Yeah.
woods. And when you can have a week of positivity and you see the best in people and the best in kids, that's probably what I look forward to most. And the payoff is that you see smiles on faces. I like that.
Are there any specific events that you make sure to circle on your calendar when you know that they're going to be going on?
I'll give you an insight here.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of them that I love. I love pretty much all of them. But Friday night, over the last several years, I announced the livestock sale down at the Livestock Pavilion. And as far as pure fun, I probably enjoy that the most. Now, I've been hit by a pig pretty hard doing that. So there was that little bump in the road, but we have such a great time down there. The public should come and see that sometime. We have buyers that come in and they purchase animals that have went through our fair system and 4-H system and stuff like that. It's a neat thing to see.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of fun doing it.
Now, do you think, obviously in the last couple of years, you have shows like Yellowstone that are kind of, showing that rancher type lifestyle. Do you see an uptick in attendance at things like the livestock sale when something like that has become popular pop culturally?
You know where you see it is the rodeo.
Really?
People aren't afraid anymore to put their cowboy hat on and boots and come down and be with people like them.
Right.
And, the popularity of Yellowstone and some other Western type shows probably adds to that, I would say.
All right. Well, I know you guys are going to have a busy day today, obviously with the tournament and fair just, 3 weeks away now, I think?
Yeah, don't say it that way. We like to break it down into like 21 days.
21 days. Okay.
Sounds like it's further away.
Yeah. If I'm mathing correctly, which is always debatable. But again, fair dates this year, the
7th through the 12th. If you pretty much figure Monday through Saturday, you're in good shape.
All right, so stop on down and get a free day on Monday and all kinds of events going on Monday through Saturday. You can't go wrong. Doesn't matter which day you go. Go many days. It's certainly affordable to do. And, I know I'm looking forward to it. My kids look forward to it every year. There's been times where we drive by the fairgrounds and they're, kind of craning their neck like, they always call it the carnival for some reason. But, is the carnival you're there yet? Oh, no, not yet. See the signs. And, but yeah, we're looking forward to the 92nd edition, and can't wait to see what you guys have coming.
Well, thanks for having me, Brian, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the fair.
All right, well, that will wrap it up for this week's edition of Coffee and a Conversation, presented by White Cane Coffee. Thank you again so much to Dale Bliss for stopping by. And don't forget to tune in every Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. for Coffee and a Conversation. For Dale Bliss, this is Brian Hagberg saying thank you so much for watching, everybody, and have a great weekend.
You know what would make that better? A cup of white cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.